everyone, it's Megan. Long time no see. I haven't done a movie update video since I think last October or September. That's just a reflection of how busy life has been in general. But I've really been back into movies lately, starting with this challenge that I'm going to tell you about in a minute there, but suffice it to say, I definitely want to be doing movie wrap-ups every month, and I think I was going to, way back when, try to talk about all the films that I see in the run of the month, but I've come to the conclusion that that's not exactly probably the best idea, because then the videos become really long, because I frequently rewatch movies that I've seen before. So I'm going to try my best to make these videos out of the movies that I have not seen before, that I've only seen for the first time that month. That is my plan. Also, I'm sorry for background noise that you may hear over this video because it's summer and my windows are open, so there's a lot of cars going by. But before I go into the movies that I saw this month, I will just say that way back in January, I decided to participate in this challenge called hashtag 52 films by women, and it is just that. It is watching 52 films in the run of the year directed by women. And so I made a list. I have it here. And as you can see, I have, over the course of the last 6 months, gone through and whited out, put in new titles and stuff. And that's just because I tried to go through a lot of the films that I've seen already that were directed by women and just have them there as sort of backups for the weeks that, like, if I didn't feel like watching a new film, or if I didn't honestly think that I could come up with 52 films by women that I wanted to watch. Oh man, was I so wrong. Because of Twitter, and because of the people that I follow, and yeah, just the Twitter accounts that I follow, I have come across so many new lady filmmakers. Most of it is thanks to Maria E. Gates. She has an amazing Twitter account. You should go follow her, but she also does social media for TCM, which I follow as well. So I just see so much stuff in the run of the day from them. Because of her, I've seen so many titles of films directed by women, and what I'll do is I'll go onto YouTube and type in the trailer for that movie, put it in my watch later, and then watch a bunch of them back to back. And so that's why there's a ton of them crossed out, whited out, and put over top, because those are the ones that are films that I have seen before, that I'm just canceling them out because of this. Anyway, I've actually been pretty good with this challenge. I'm at week 27. I love this challenge, actually. It's probably one of my favorite things that I'm doing this year, and the fact that I've been able to do it consistently week by week. There have been a couple times where I didn't do it for a couple weeks and then I watched 2 films and was caught up. So I am caught up now. I'm on week 27 or 28, so that's 27 films. And that's really exciting for me. So the first film that I watched in June is Lone Surefigs, An Education. This is starring the wonderful Carey Mulligan, and it takes place in the 1960s. It's the screenplay is written by Nick Hornby, who I have discovered is such a great storyteller. He's totally my style. And she's in the 60s, she's in high school, she's planning on going to Oxford. She's a great scholar in English and Latin, but then she meets this guy, older man, who takes her off and just shows her the high life and how things can be, and she sort of abandons her studies, and it's worrying her family, and just a lot of stuff. But the ending, I was okay with. I don't want to give away the ending, but I've had sort of mixed feelings about it, but overall I think I gave it around 4 out of 5 stars. The next film I watched in June was Jocelyn Morehouse's How to Make an American Quilt. This stars Winona Ryder and was done in the 90s. It's got a lot of stars in there. You've got Anne Bancroft, I believe Ellen Burstyn, Gene Simmons, and Kate Nelligan. And I loved this film for a lot of reasons. I saw a lot of my grandmother and my own family reflected in the women in this film. It's very sisterhood oriented and quilting. My grandmother quilts, so I saw parallels there. But it's a film very of its time. I like the girl, Winona Ryder. She is a grad student and she's engaged to this guy, and as the movie goes on, you see that, in my opinion, by today's standards, I feel like they wouldn't be ready to get married. Like, it's very whirlwind, and they haven't talked about a lot of stuff like children and like plans, like kind of the bigger picture of stuff, which kind of surprised me, but it was the 90s. But then we also did flashbacks to the women in her life, her aunts, I think, and her grandmother, and got their stories. And those stories too were very much of the time, 1950s, 60s, stand by your man kind of stuff that I don't know how applicable it would be today. I believe in some circumstances it would be, but still, that stuff kind of bothered me, but I had to remember it's of a product of its time, and overall it was a good movie. I think I gave it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the third film that I watched was Regarding Susan Sontag. This is a BBC documentary that was produced a couple of years ago maybe by Nancy Cates, might have been even 2012, and it's about the writer Susan Sontag. I had heard her name just over the course of my life mentioned here and there in articles or in conversation or whatever, and I didn't really realize who she was until I watched this documentary. And once I did, I realized that she's a big powerhouse feminist. She was an amazing journalist and writer, and there were little, snippets of stuff that she'd written that was recited throughout, and I realized she really appeals to me too. Her writing does, so I'm definitely going to be checking out more works by her, and it was really fascinating to have that look into her life. I think it was around this time, or maybe a little bit before, that I went to see Finding Dory in theaters. I think we saw it the first cheap night after its film's release, like the Tuesday after, and it was funny. It was long anticipated for me, and I'm a huge Disney Pixar geek, of course, but I found myself to be kind of disappointed by it. There was a lot of stuff that I loved about it, but parts of it didn't feel original. I felt the story moved very, very fast. Like, it was really fast. They're just, I don't know. I appreciated Dory's struggles, and I felt like really sad for her, and like the problems that she went through. She's definitely one of my favorite characters, Disney characters of all time. I love her. I love how humane she is, and funny, and optimistic. She's wonderful in that way. I think for me the story just felt very fast. That's what it was. But that being said, there was a lot of Pixar stuff that I loved about it, as usual. I love how hilarious the ending was. I loved the new characters that came into the story. Overall, it was great. Probably 4 to 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the last directed by a lady movie that I saw in June was Catherine Hardwicke's 13. This came out in the early 2000s, and it has been highly revered as one of the best indie coming-of-age movies of all time. I predicted it would be hard to watch. It wasn't as hard to watch as I thought it would be, but I've read quite a bit about it, and for some reason I just never saw it before. I think it was in dreading the tougher parts to watch, but I read stuff about it, about the production style, like the fact that Catherine Hardwicke, it was so low budget that it was shot at her own house with a lot of her stuff. The camera was handheld a good chunk of the time, if not most of the time, so that added a certain production quality to it, but the lighting was very striking to me. I loved that as things would get darker and darker and more ambiguous for the main character, the whole lighting would get darker and darker, and there was the lowest point, like the climax of the movie, where it was just very dark black and white, and then I kind of predicted this would happen, and it did happen. The new day dawned, and with it brought a yellow light, and suddenly color was coming back into the room. I thought it was very reflective of the mood of the piece, and I really enjoyed the movie. I understand why it's gotten such high praise, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a coming-of-age story, because she doesn't really change at the end. It's like she was popular, she goes through a lot of stuff, and then she's not, and she's back to her average self. It's just basically a typical time in the life of a teenager, and I don't necessarily agree that that's the case for everybody, but I remember seeing it happen when I was younger. Anyhow, so those are probably not all the new films that I watched in the month of June. Those are just the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm going back at this point now to making little sticky notes that I'll just keep in my agenda, keeping track of all the new films that I watch over the course of a month, not just the lady-directed ones. But that's it for now, I guess. I'm really happy to be back here and going back into studying film and trying to balance it with my obsession for books. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great week, and I shall see you soon with another video. Take care, guys. Bye.